everyone, and welcome back to the Elevating Black Women in Tech series. I can't believe it. Wow. This is the final episode of this series. And if you have been following, you will know it's been a powerful journey where we've been really having honest conversations. And I'm so grateful to every single person, every single one of you who has tuned in and followed through on this journey. So today you're listening to episode 5 of the series, and it's very much about the topic of moving from passion to action, empowering the next generation. So, as you know, if you have been following, we've been talking about all things breaking barriers, taking up space, and building legacy. And today, we're really focusing on how we could open that door for the next generation coming in and supporting those breaking into tech, how we can make that impact. And today's guest, super excited, is someone that I absolutely admire in the space of tech. And she's a prime example of someone that embodies all of that. So the best guest to have for this final episode. So Ayana, thank you so much for being here. You're someone that I absolutely adore, admire, and you've definitely been an inspiration to me on my journey in tech. So let the audience know who you are, what you do, and perhaps a fun fact.
Wow, thank you so much for that very warm intro. I'm honored to be here. Like I said, thank you so much for asking me to be the final episode on this amazing podcast. I can't wait to hear all of the other guests and all of the gems that they're going to be dropping. But yes, my name is Ayana Gardner. I am a contact center channel sales specialist, which is a lot of words for I'm in the tech sales space on the channel side. So I interface with resale partners and help them, essentially sell the products of the company that I work for. I work at Zoom. So I just make sure they have all the resources. There's a lot of enablement and there's a lot of social selling and just relationship building as well. So that is my bread and butter every day. And I've had quite the journey. We'll kind of get into that maybe to get here. But I've been in tech sales for about a decade, and it has been the most happy accident that I've ever experienced. I definitely did not seek this career out, but I'm so happy that I fell into it. It provides just, I think, everything that Black women deserve. It provides, financial security. It gives you work-life balance. You're able to, just really achieve a lot of the dreams and goals that you want through this type of career, through travel or home ownership, helping your family, whatever it is. Like, it really gives you the vehicle, through God's grace. Obviously, I'm not saying it comes from the job, but yeah, I would love to pour into that next generation or any woman that is thinking about making this change or coming into this space. If I can just say one thing that helps them to, live the life that I'm blessed to live, I'm happy to, pass the baton and provide any information that I can.
Wow, wow, wow. You spoke about so many different things, and just congratulations because you've achieved so much in your career and you're now doing great things at a great company. And you spoke about so many things that resonate with me, like being in the world of tech and also being in the world of tech sales opened so many opportunities for us as women. And yeah, it's not just about the remuneration or the pay, it's the opportunities that it provides. And I'm very big on
Absolutely.
this space, Ayana, because yeah, tech is very much where the world is moving to. It's the future. So if we as women and if we as Black women could just be in this space and take up seats, then the doors that will continue open will be phenomenal. And you're testament of that. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel blessed every day. And like I said, I feel part of that responsibility is to pay it forward. So whether that's through a podcast or just if I'm at a networking event and speaking life into that next young lady, absolutely happy to do it.
Yes, yes, yes. And I don't know whether you told the audience where you're based because
Oh, I'm based in Las Vegas. I don't have a cool London accent, working on that. But yes, I'm in the States and I travel quite a bit here in the States. So even though I'm based in Las Vegas, you might see me in Houston, you might see me in California, you might see me in Atlanta, New York, Florida. So I'm always on a plane. But yeah, my home base, I pay bills in Las Vegas.
I love that. And honestly, I love your accent, Ayana. I love your accent. And the fact that you're able to just travel all around the US, yeah, I wish I could do that. Yeah, I love all things
It
USA.
is fun. You can come visit. I'll take you around. We'll do a tour.
Definitely noted for sure. So let's do a little icebreaker before delving into the questions. And if you were to like look at your journey as a whole, or even
hmm
right now in tech, and you were to describe your journey in tech in one emoji, what would you say it would be and why?
I would say, oh, you know that stock emoji that's just like, and it's like going up? I would definitely say that's probably my career because it started off in the trenches, child. So we're now just going up, and the hope is that it just keeps leveling up and, able to experience different parts of the industry or, step into roles that maybe I didn't consider in my past. But yeah, it's definitely just, and that's just God, honestly.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So yeah, so the chart that with the
Yeah.
screens going up. Yes, yes, yes. That's good. That's really good. Perfect. Perfect. And let's go in. So if we were to like start from the beginning,
hmm
and if you were to cast your mind back to where you started when you were breaking into tech and look at the next generation of women coming in,
hmm
what advice would you give to Black women who are passionate about tech but really don't know where to start?
Great question. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I fell into this space. I was in sales, but it was auto and home insurance. And then they made some changes where essentially the commission was capped and they had all these requirements where people weren't qualifying for the auto and home insurance. So it's almost impossible to hit our quota. And one of the young ladies that was on my team left and went to a different company. And she told me like how much her commission check was. And I was like, what? I was better than you at this job. So that means I could probably be better at you at that job. Not in a cocky way, but just like, I would love to have that opportunity as well. So I applied. I got it. It was a role selling telecommunications. So like internet, phone, TV for residential customers. And I didn't really see it as tech in that moment or back then. But in hindsight, I realized like it was a tech product, like Wi-Fi and those things, they are used for technology. So in that space, I was able to grow into, like I said, I just kept leveling up first with that same company for 7 years, and then now jumping over to this larger software company in a more substantial role. But every level up that I had was through someone that I knew, someone that knew me, or some sort of like internal cheerleader or recommendation, things of that nature. It was never just a blind application. It was always like a tap on the shoulder or, hey, we're making money over here. Like, you should come over here. So I say all that to say, I would definitely recommend that Black women lean more into something called cronyism, where you are now in spaces because of the people that you know. And if you think about, like, let's say there's an exclusive club in your area, and you go to the website, there's no way to get on the list, like you can go to the club that night, but like if you're not on the list, you can't get in. The only way you're able to get in is if you know someone that's already inside or know someone that works there, or the bouncer. Like, it's going to take some sort of relationship in order for you to get pulled in. It's the same way with corporate America. I think that's not taught enough in our circles. So I really feel like, we're just blindly applying on LinkedIn or these job boards. And I've heard some stories of people putting in applications, like hundreds of applications, and not getting a single interview. I think it was always like this, but it's even worse now, like with the rise of internet and AI and things of these nature. These companies are very hesitant to hire a stranger. So if they don't know you and there's no one in the company that knows you, even if your resume is dope, it's just like, can anybody vouch for her? No? Okay, keep it moving. So you really want to speak with people that are in places that you want to be. So I always tell women, like Black women, your LinkedIn DM should be active. Like if you are unemployed, then your job is now LinkedIn. You should be on there talking to people at companies that you want to work for or working in roles that you want to work for. And it doesn't have to be, hey, I want to work at your company. Can you help? Like it doesn't have to be immediately going for the ask, but just building a relationship. Hey, how do you like working there? Like, how did you get there? How long have you been there? Just like having casual conversation. If you're in the same city, meet up for coffee. And there might be some natural synergy there where you guys end up forming a relationship. Like us right now, we are talking because of a LinkedIn relationship. And I went all the way to London. We hung out. We had a great time. Now I'm on your podcast. If I ever do anything in the future, I'm sure I'll bring you along. Like, and that was just through, initially it might have been a little weird, just like, hi, I'm a fan of your stuff, or vice versa. But the awkward part goes away faster than you think. And then you have a person in your corner that is looking to help you. And like I said, that internal cheerleader, it's so important. And I also, to add to that, it doesn't have to be another Black woman. Like obviously we're all here to help each other, but like don't be scared to jump into a white man's LinkedIn DMs and keep it professional, obviously, but have a conversation and you'll be surprised how people want to help, how much people want to pour into others because everybody gets something from giving back. So that's my biggest advice. Like build those relationships, network, and take advantage of something called cronyism. It really can help you go very far. I'm living proof of that.
Wow, wow, wow. And to the audience, if you're here, I want you to take a moment and pause, grab a pen and paper because the gems Ayana is dropping. And the word was cronyism.
Cronyism, yes.
Wow. Even I'm
I
knowing this.
recently learned about that. I think it was early this year, and I was like, that word puts into like it wraps up everything of like what I've been experiencing in my career. Like it's never been just a stranger or like a just reaching out an application and then getting that job. It's always been, hey, I think you'd be good for this, or I should introduce you to this person, things of that nature, or me advocating for myself, like, hey, can you you know, reach out to this person for me, et cetera, because it just goes so far.
Mm. That's so, so good. So good, Ayana. And thank you for that because even for me, I could definitely resonate with that. Like a lot of the tech jobs that I've secured that are my highest paid jobs in my career have been through my network. And this is something that
Absolutely.
yeah, repeated in some of the previous episodes that people are really sleeping on the power of networking. And I think whether
Yeah.
you're applying for a job, whether you're trying to build a business, whether you're trying to move in certain spaces in tech, it's so crucial and vital to start building and cultivating that network. And for someone like myself, I wasn't raised around people in tech necessarily. I come
Yeah.
from a low socioeconomic background and I come from a really rundown area in London. So there were certain people that if I thought, okay, how can I tap into a CEO of this company? I would have thought, like, how can Miriam get there? But now, as I'm developing in my career, I'm realizing the power of platforms such as LinkedIn. And to what you said earlier, Ayana, you and I wouldn't be here today had LinkedIn not existed because I'm
True.
based in London, as you all can tell. Ayana's based in amazing USA, and we've managed to connect off the back of LinkedIn. So please do not take that for granted. And if there's anyone on this or listening who is in a space where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start on LinkedIn, reach out to me, reach out to Ayana, and we could support you on that journey. But that's so, so good. And I'm so glad that you use that to your advantage. The support system or those people in your network have just helped you every step of the way throughout your career. So
Oh,
thank you.
yes.
If we were to look at and talk about diversity, it's such a big topic nowadays when we talk about all things EDI. And I'm really keen to move towards not just talking, but then
Hmm.
looking at how we can move towards a world where there's a lot more action. So for you, Ayana, if you were to think of some real practical things that companies can do to better recruit, retain, and promote Black women, what would you say it would be?
Um, I would definitely. Well, first, it's funny that you guys say EDI. We say DEI in America, so I was like, I had to flip it around in my head. Um, I think companies need to require bias training. And what I mean by that is, I think sometimes these companies interview quality people who are applying, but they might just think that based on their limited view of Black people or Black women, that they might not be good enough for the job because they've only seen a Black woman maybe working as a cashier or a maid, and it's not because Black women aren't amazing, they're just in their own world, and they haven't exposed themselves to the amazing Black excellence that's all over the place. So I think there needs to be some sort of like required training that allows them to be aware of that, pay attention to that, and then hopefully, are able to overcome that and have a full conversation with a potential candidate. And then from there, if they're qualified, like nobody's asking for um, charity, but if they're able to meet the requirements, then yeah, offer them a job. So I think that's huge. I don't think that's talked about enough because yeah, I just think that people see, you know, a certain looking person and they're like, oh, that looks like a VP, that looks like a director, that looks like a manager. And then they see another certain looking person and they're just like, oh, like I've never seen this prototype in a leadership role or in a sales role. Or maybe they have and they weren't successful. So now they think they all are going to be like, so there definitely needs to be some sort of bias awareness and ways to kind of mitigate that through practices or maybe having checks and balances, multiple people are interviewing them, things of that nature, because I think that's a huge just like bottleneck for Black people getting into tech, specifically Black women. So that's my first thing. Second thing, I would say that companies need to fish in different like lakes or ponds. Like if you're only going to the same resource, I was in a panel at some conference, I forget, and it was like a C-suite person saying that his version of diversity was instead of just hiring from Microsoft, he would also look at people who had Google or Salesforce. So like he named a bunch of really big companies, and I was just like, that's not diversity. That's just like there are people who don't have those logos on their resume, but they're still amazing, and they probably will do a better job because they're coming in with a different framework or a different experience, and they're able to really frame up just like kind of shape that department or that role to be something better than you imagined. But if you're just tunnel vision of just like, I'm only looking for a tech bro that fits this prototype, then you're never going to get that diversity that you're seeking or that actually benefits the company. Yeah.
So good, so so good. And I guess there's two things there. So ensuring that there's education when it comes to the
Hmm.
recruitment process to prevent things like bias or unconscious bias. And then also with your second point about finding different ways to recruit people from diverse backgrounds and not necessarily
Hmm.
in terms of ethnic backgrounds. It's more so could you find people from law backgrounds. And it's funny because I actually have a legal background. I'm a law graduate and I've transitioned into
I did
tech.
not know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm, if you were to look at it on paper, a career changer. So it's that. And I bring a different lens, I bring a different perspective. And I think that's so important, where companies could start broadening their horizon. And that's
Absolutely, yeah.
powerful. That's powerful. And that's diversity in every aspect, right? Where you've got the diversity of perspective and vision and background, etc. So yeah, I love those 2 points. So if we talk about and we move on to like things like all things community, and I know
Hmm.
you and I are really big on community, and we're
Oh, yes.
part of a lot of similar communities. So what do you think community or the role of community or networking played in your journey, and how can we create more of that for others?
Oh, community networking is huge. I mean, kind of tying back into the first question's answer, people are going to recommend you more because they know you, you have a relationship with them. But I think it really comes down to if people don't know what value you offer, then it's impossible for them to spread that awareness. So if you have a community that says, hey, Miriam is really good at moderating, she's passionate about, God and tech and, all these things, then if opportunity comes up that perfectly matches with that, you're going to be the first person they think of. So having a community of people that want you to win and know what you're looking for, what your goals are, that is just going to be, it's almost like planting seeds all throughout the world that now if opportunity comes up in a room that you're not in, because there's someone in that room that knows you, they can now tap you or let you know about it, send you the information, send you the application, whatever it is. And now you almost have like multiple versions of you walking around that are searching for the things that you're looking for without you having to be there. So it's a great way of working harder, not smarter. I'm sorry, smarter, not harder. So that's like to me the biggest benefit. But then also, let's say you're in a room. Well, I'll say it this way. If a guy is at a bar by himself, it's a lot less likely for a woman to approach him or for him to be able to successfully approach a woman because it's just like, it's just like this awkward, like you're standing there by yourself. I don't know. You might be successful, but it's probably lower percentage. But if a guy is there with his friend, he's going to be more confident, more relaxed. He's probably smiling, maybe he's laughing, and more women are going to approach him, or the women that he approached are more likely to, kind of be learning and kind of, learn more about him and see if there's anything there. It's the same thing on a professional level. If you're there with a group of people, and I always recommend if you're going to a networking event, recruit your people. Like tell them to come with you, even if they're not pursuing tech or they're not in the same industry. Bring your homegirl, bring your homeboy, go to the event together. You are going to exude 10 times more confidence and you're going to be able to be more approachable and also approach more people, so you'll be able to find more of those opportunities. So there's little, hacks like that you can do with networking, but community, it just builds you up internally, but then also, like I said, it's like those seeds out in the world that are going to bring you in because there's a lot of people that want you to win, whether you know about it or not. So you kind of just have to put yourself out there a little bit, but it's so worth it.
That's incredible. And I second that. I really do. For me, community has been everything on my journey. And there's been times where when I was, especially in the earlier years of my tech journey or career, just generally, like particularly in the corporate world, etc., where I didn't know how to find community within the companies that I was working for. I was sometimes scared. Like if I were to vocalize this to said person or said colleague, the next thing you know, I'll be in a in a dismissal meeting or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Because there's days, let's be real, there's days where you're not feeling it. But
Yeah.
when I started to find those external communities, Ayana, there could be one thing that I was going through that day, and I was able to openly express it, to be like, okay, I've dealt with a difficult customer, or I've dealt with this scenario at work. How can you help me navigate it? And I'm very much a solution oriented person, but it's not easy to navigate or think about a solution if you haven't gone through that scenario. Whereas if
Yeah,
you've got
definitely.
somebody in a community you're part of who is more established or 10 years deep into the industry, it's easier. So that's also key. And you've touched on before about building a network, so being proactive. And I love what you were saying about bringing others, like even if you've got friends who are not in similar industries, bring in others. And I think that's good, because when it comes to networking, there's a strategy to it. And when you're walking in a room where, let's say, there's so many people in that room, it can be overwhelming. So if you've got that support system, that support. And two, there may be a strategy where you're saying, okay, you work this side of the room, and then I work this side of the room. You collect these contacts, and I collect these contacts. And one thing I also want to add to that is, no, well, networking should just be simply collecting contacts.
Yeah,
Should be really building genuine, authentic relationships to support you throughout your career. And I think even our relationship speaks to that. It wasn't
yeah,
just a high and a buy scenario. We've now built a long term friendship. And I think, particularly when it comes to those navigating this space and trying to break into tech, you could build one relationship at a networking event that could be a mentor for 10 years of your career, all throughout your career. So that's so key.
yeah. And I also think that, just trust God that He's going to bring the right people to you. And it might not always be for a career, kind of like you just mentioned. Like it could just be a lifelong friend, or that might be a future shoulder that you cry on. Like you don't know, but just putting yourself out there to find the right people for you. Because we as humans, we're social, and we are built, it's ingrained in us to build community and everything. But I think in this generation, in today's day and age, we don't have a lot of that. And then even when we do, to your point, it's just to collect contacts, or it's just to, but like there's not a lot of people who are doing it authentically. So it's very easy to stand out if you are. And people are going to resonate with that. They're going to be attracted to it and like magnified to you. And it's amazing like how fast it just starts to turn into you know
Yeah.
transactional success and value, and it's just like wow, just from going that one event and then now I'm on this stage, or just from sending that one DM, now I'm making 2x my salary, like
Yeah.
once you start tracing back some of it's just like wow, this stuff really works. And that's why I said I love pouring back into the Black women tech community, because we're not really getting this messaging. So if I have to be that, I will sound it off from the mountaintops.
Hmm. I love that. And just to follow up to this, Ayana, because I think one thing that I always get, especially as someone that career coaches people who want to break into tech, is how do I network and how do I be my true authentic self? So what would you say on that point?
Okay, this is going to sound basic, but I promise you it's powerful. But if you're just present in the moment and you just remember you're a human talking to a human who is flawed, you're flawed, and we all have insecurities, we all have, things that we're going through. Life is messy. And if you just look at that person and just say, what is it that I need to learn about this person, or that they want to learn about me? And if you just start from that place, it naturally will, kind of take itself from there. And sometimes it's nothing, and that's okay. But I think going into it with like a desired outcome and a goal, and I have to, do my 30-second elevator pitch, and like it just becomes very clunky, and it dilutes all of the authenticity because you're just focused on something else. But if you're just like, hi, how are you? How are you enjoying this conference? What was your favorite panel? Like, just like trying to learn as much as about them as you can, there's going to be little anecdotes that come out. Oh, I love this panel because my wife XYZ. Oh, your wife? Like, how long have you been married? There's like it's just going to snowball into something beautiful or nothing. But it's very rarely where it snowballs into like you're not going to start fighting or they're not going to, say something mean to you. Like the worst case scenario is that it's just a boring conversation that doesn't amount to anything. But the upside is this could be your next boss or co-founder, investor. Like the upside is way more or worth it. So it's always worth it to go into those conversations just authentically and just, yeah, try to be present.
So powerful, so powerful. And I know that's a word for a lot of the audience because networking is one of those things where if you just think about it, it can be scary.
Yeah.
But to what Ayana said, it's very much about having a conversation. Like we're all humans at the end of the day, as far as the last time I checked.
I'm not AI yet.
So it's about just being your true authentic self. And if you do, it will be more easier and natural. And I think what's also so important with that is that you'll be able to connect with people that you are really aligned with. Because imagine faking a certain persona
Hmm.
and then that attracts the other person to you. It's like they don't know who you are and you don't know who they are really. So for me, the more authentic and the more myself I am, the more the right people that's aligned to me and we just get on.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
to that point, there could be someone who's a complete opposite of you that you have nothing in common with, but now you have a new perspective, a new prototype that's injected into your mind of just like, oh, people who have this experience look at the world this way. And you might not ever use that, but it might come up in a scenario and you're like, oh, I think that was that person that I met. This makes sense now, So yeah, God makes no mistakes. He's bringing all the right people to you to form, your next win, ideally.
yes, yes, and
Yes.
yes. So I hope you are all still taking notes because I definitely am taking mental notes. So thank you for all of that, Ayana. And this is a question that I'm really, really big on because I always reflect back at when I was wanting to break into tech, what my mindset looked like and what my thoughts were really. And I didn't really have support in those initial stages. So if you were to really look at the next generation or those
Hmm.
wanting to break into tech, what one piece of advice do you wish you had been given earlier on your tech journey that may help or speak to those individuals?
I think I wish um I wish I heard that you need to experience the cringe of being new and being on the side where you're learning or making mistakes in order to get to the point where you are successful and have experience and are getting all the things that you want, because I think a lot of people go through that early stage and they're just like, oh, this is uncomfortable, like you hear one tech abbreviation and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm the dumbest person in the room. I don't belong here. But that is actually just more feedback that like, yes, there's more information that I need. So maybe instead of watching that Netflix movie, I'm going to watch a YouTube video that explains this topic so that the next time this comes up, I actually know what they're talking about. um, but there is a lot of cringe in that new era of anything, whether you're trying to be an artist, get into tech, you know build a house, whatever. There's going to be some level of a learning curve. And I think, yeah, I just wish someone told me it's okay to have a little bit of cringe or a bit of newness, because I promise you, on the other side of it, you're just going to look back like, of course you didn't know, but of course you had to learn to get to the point where you do know. Um, so yeah, I think specifically when it comes to tech, there are a lot of rooms where they speak to the audience as if they're tenured and experienced, and it's a deterrent to the people who are trying to break into tech because they might not know what all those terms mean. But as long as you're pouring back into yourself and you're dedicating time to learn, because the thing with learning, you only have to learn it once, like full understanding. Like once you know it, the next time somebody says it, it's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. I know, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's not something that you have to keep, like, what they say about riding a bike. It's not like you have to keep learning the same acronym over. Now there's always new acronyms, but once you have like that foundational, no one knows everything. I promise you. You guys see how fast AI is innovating. There's not a single person that knows every single software, computing, infrastructure. Like everybody is constantly learning. You just want to get to a point where it's like, okay, I know the gist of what they're talking about. And then you get to a point where you're so confident. If you don't know what they're talking about, like, what is that? Can you explain that? Because there's probably five other people in the room who also don't know what that is. So get through the cringe, experience it, and you'll be surprised how the benefits come out on the other side.
So, so good. That's so powerful. Get through the cringe. Like that is a line. That's a statement in itself. So good because yeah, it's all about really embracing the uncomfortable and understanding that if you push, there's growth on the other end. And I think that's something that we could always take throughout our career. So thank you so much, Ayana. And
Yeah, no,
just
thank you. You're a great moderator and I felt so comfortable, and your vibe is just genuine, and I know you really want to help Black women, so I am honored to be, on this podcast and in this space. So any way that I can help your community, please don't hesitate to let me know. And to anyone listening, please feel free to reach out. Like I said, your LinkedIn DM should be active. You can use that against me, not against me. I enjoy helping, but yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help or pour in any way that I can.
thank you so much. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And for those listening, I mean, you can see why I honestly here, like real, honest, unfiltered. There's no sugarcoating here. And these are the people that you need to be surrounded around because you never want to be around people on your journey who won't be honest. So I'm sure this is going to resonate with so many of you all listening. And this has been such an honest, powerful conversation to close this series. And I know you pretty much touched on where the audience can find you, but let us know. Let us know your platforms, Ayana.
Yeah, LinkedIn is pretty much the only one. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Just Ayana Gardner, and I'm really good at responding. So I can, if you want, we can set up a coffee chat. I can send you my calendar. But yeah, happy to help.
Oh, Ayana's calendar. Please, please, no inundating, because Ayana's a gem. She's someone that we need to really hold dear. But thank you for that opportunity, to the audience where they can reach out to you if needs be. So connect with Ayana, and just generally, if this series has really been impactful for you, please, please, please don't forget to share. Don't forget to send this to a sister in tech because we don't want this to just be the end. This is not marking the end of anything, but it is wrapping up a phenomenal series of elevating Black women in tech. And honestly, for me, it's been so, so empowering because, as Ayana said, this is something that I'm passionate about, not just as a woman, but also as a Black woman in tech that's always thinking about how I can support the next generation or those within the profession. So this has been a series where I've laughed. I've had moments where I've been on the verge of tears because it's been really touching. And I just want to thank each and every one of you who has followed us throughout this journey. And also a huge, huge shout out to the incredible Women in Tech Forum. For those of you who aren't following the Women in Tech Forum, please do. And a huge thank you to the phenomenal founder, Angie, who has made this possible and trusted me to also bring this vision to life, and the incredible Roxy, who also brought this vision to life. And to all of you watching, wherever you are on your journey, just know that you belong here. And whether you're breaking into the industry or breaking barriers within it, your voice, your presence, and your impact, that's all that matters. And it truly does. So keep showing up, keep reaching back, and most importantly, keep shining. I'm Miriam Owusu, and this is the Elevating Black Women Tech series. Thank you so much and take care.